All right, this is a model that's kind of a slice of the human brain and meninges. So if we look here, we can see this is a sagittal section. This is kind of more mid-sagittal through here, and then this is more parasagittal. And so we are looking at different slices through the brain and the skull. So if we look through over here, this part is going to be the skull. So this would be like the occipital bone, probably at the back. And then we have, you can see the skull over here. Then next we're gonna have the layers of the meninges. And so on this model here, the gray layer of the meninge is going to be the dura mater. Right under that, this orange painted layer is going to be the arachnoid matter. And then everything here that's outlined in purple, all of this purple stuff, this is where the CSF is, the cerebrospinal fluid. This is that subarachnoid space. So we can see the subarachnoid space. And then the red layer here is going to be the pia mater. Now, directly under this is going to be the brain. So the brain itself has some different layers. And so the outer layer here is going to be the gray matter with 2 T's. And the inner layer here is going to be the white matter over here. And so we can also look at the dura mater, and if we come in a little bit closer, we can see that there are some areas where we have 2 layers of the dura mater. The layer of the dura mater that closely adheres to the bone is called the periosteal layer. And then the layer of the dura mater that follows the contours of the brain is called the meningeal layer of the dura mater. And then there is a space here where these 2 open up. And it's black in this model, which I don't really love. I would love it to be blue because this is a dural venous sinus, and it collects venous blood from the brain. So a sinus is just like a thin-walled vein. So this is the dural, because it's part of the dura mater, venous sinus. And so we're collecting a lot of blood from the vein in these dural venous sinuses. The other thing that happens at the dural venous sinus is we have this little guy here called an arachnoid villus, or arachnoid granulation. And we can see that this orange part is pushing up through here, through this meningeal layer of the dura mater and kind of into this dural venous sinus. So this is an arachnoid villus or arachnoid granulation. So this is where we have our cerebrospinal fluid actually can kind of, it's created within the choroid plexus in the ventricles, but it also needs to be reabsorbed. And so this is where reabsorption happens, where it's kind of filtered through this arachnoid membrane, and then it's filtered back into the dural venous sinus. So that excess CSF is then going to be collected in this dural venous sinus. So we can see that all of this area here, where the purple is showing that we have the subarachnoid space, and this is all going to be filled with cerebrospinal fluid. But as we get to the middle over here, we can also see that there are the outlines of some of the ventricles. And so we can't see the lateral ventricles on this sort of mid-sagittal section, but we can see the 3rd ventricle. So this right here is the 3rd ventricle, and it's connected via the cerebral aqueduct down here to the 4th ventricle. And then we're going to have the paired median apertures that we can't really see very well, and then it's going to be continues straight down as the central canal of the spinal cord. The other thing that we're going to have is if we flip this over, we can see the layers again, right? So we have the dura mater in gray, the arachnoid mater in orange, then we have the subarachnoid space in purple, and then we have the pia mater in red, and then we have our gray matter and our white matter of our cerebrum. But then here we can also see this is a lateral ventricle. So this is one of the lateral ventricles over here. Then we can also see some of our cerebellum, excuse me, and then our pons and brainstem through here. All right, so I think those are most of the features you'll need to know from this model.